That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
No place like home.
Those wings carbon fiber?
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
Hey, Spider-Man.
Hey, man. What's up, Mr. Stark?
Spider-Man.
Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I am reviewing Spider-Man from 2002. And if you guys remember, I think earlier on in the year I did do a review of this, but it wasn't really that great. So I'm going to redo it leading into Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm going to be talking about all three Raimi films, of course the Amazing Spider-Man duology, the two Venom movies, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and of course the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man movies leading into No Way Home. And I am a big Spider-Man fan, so I can't wait to review all these. So here we go. So Spider-Man centers around a student called Peter Parker, played by Tobey Maguire, who, after being bitten by a genetically altered spider, he gains superhuman strength and also spider-like abilities, such as climbing walls, swinging on webs, vows the responsibility to fight crime, coming into the understanding words of his beloved Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility. And so these three Spider-Man movies are why I love Spider-Man. I grew up with these movies. I used to watch this one on VHS a lot as a kid, over and over at my grandmother's house, and I just love this movie. I just truly love it. And these three movies, I will say 1, 2, and 3, everyone talks about how J.K. Simmons is the best J. Jonah Jameson, and I agree. He is the best J. Jonah Jameson we're ever going to get. These three movies, the Sam Raimi movies, are the best that we're going to get for Spider-Man movies. They're not in the MCU. Like, we'll get into the Amazing Spider-Man films, but these three Spider-Man films are just great. And these movies are what I imagine Spider-Man to be. Even though I do love Tom Holland's version, this Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi version is what I think of Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is one of my favourite Spider-Mans, and everyone gives Tobey Maguire crap for being not a good Spider-Man, and the quips are there, but it's not constant, which works for this movie, because if you had the scene where Peter is talking to Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn at the end when he's about to die, and he's like, Peter, help me stop him, and talking about the Green Goblin, of course, and of course Peter Parker's like, no, I'm not going to. You try to kill Mary Jane, you try to kill Aunt May. That wouldn't have worked if Spider-Man said a quip, which I think Sam Raimi looked at the comics, because he did just translate the comics, but he was like, you know what, let's take some of these quips out, just so we can make this a very emotional film, because we need to shock people. If we have too much jokes, then people won't really be like, oh, that's emotional. Which is what I like about this. Which the MCU films, even though that they're my favourite film series of all time, the MCU films had to take 24 movies to get to the emotional beat of Spider-Man. Which we do get a hint of it in Homecoming, where it's like, oh, my Aunt May's been through a lot, but then we get the whole death of Tony Stark in Endgame, and that carries on to Far From Home, and I presume there will be some mention of it in No Way Home, which I can't wait. And so that's that. And so talking about the cast a little bit more, Kirsten Dunst, I really love as Mary Jane Watson. I think Zendaya's version, I do love Zendaya's version of Mary Jane Watson, but I think there's something about Kirsten Dunst's interpretation of her is better than the Zendaya version. I don't know if it's because of the whole thing of because she was the first one, or it's just because I can't give an exact reason, because I don't mind people changing different colours to black. I don't mind doing it with MJ, because MJ is one of those people where it's like, as long as you do a different version of her, it should be fine. So that is my favourite version of MJ. And not Willem Dafoe, James Franco as Harry Osborn. He's my favourite Harry Osborn. And that's really saying something from me, because I do like what they were doing with Dane DeHaan's Harry Osborn in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which we'll get there. But I think all of this cast, like even the supporting cast, Rosemary Harris, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, Elizabeth Banks as Betty Brant, Ted Raimi as the guy at the Daily Bugle, and even all of that is fantastic. And speaking of the Daily Bugle, there's a scene in the Daily Bugle where you first get introduced to J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, the great J.K. Simmons. But basically, they talk about Spider-Man and how it's like they sold millions of copies of that issue. So then they're like, oh, we sold like 100 copies. Right. Get a cover picture this time and Spider-Man will be on the front page. And then, sure enough, one of the other guys there, I can't remember his name, but he's like, but Eddie's been on the case for weeks and he can't get a cool enough photo. It's impossible. So they implied Eddie Brock in the first Spider-Man movie. Even though that, yeah, Venom's not great in Spider-Man 3, which we'll get there. But Venom, Sam Raimi hinted at Venom coming down the line no matter what he wanted to do in the third movie. But we did get a little reference before we knew that was coming in Spider-Man 3, which that's a whole different discussion. But one of my other favourite things about this movie is the score. Danny Elfman's score for this is my favourite Spider-Man score of all time. And I love what Hans Zimmer was doing in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But I think Sam Raimi's version is the better version of all the scores. And I even, I think it's Michael Giacchino that does the Holland movies. Those Holland movie ones are just incredible, especially when you had the Spider-Man theme and you had the whole, especially when you have an orchestral version of the original 60s cartoon theme. I think it's just incredible that they did that for the Holland movies. So this movie, I am thinking, with No Way Home, I've heard some things I'm not gonna get into, just in case if you guys haven't heard it. But what I will say before I get into my theories of how this is going to tie into No Way Home, I've heard that they're all going to look a little different. I don't want them all to look different. I can't get Jamie Foxx because no one really likes Jamie Foxx in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I did, but no one really else did. I don't necessarily want Willem Dafoe to be changed because I like that suit, and it would make more sense if you keep him in that suit, not just for the nostalgia purposes for people like me who watch these, but the people that recognize that suit. Because if you put him in a new suit, that's like getting a new character. Like if you got, that's like if you got a different actor playing a different version of Willem Dafoe, which looks like the 2002 one, but just tweaked it a little bit, which kind of surprised me. But I think you should just keep them as they are. And so, as we see in the trailer, we see Dr. Octopus come out. We'll talk about that next time, but you see Dr. Octopus come out, Alfred Molina, And he goes, "Hello, Peter." He looks almost the exact same as he does in Spider-Man 2. Like, he does have a black shirt on, and the coat, which he does have more of a brown kind of Spider-Man 2, which he has a little bit more of a green, but that's just a little nitpick. But he does look almost exactly the same. His hair does look a little different, but again, this is like years later for No Way Home. So I'm excited to see how this all ties in. But what I will say about tying it in, I think No Way Home is going to bring back all these villains, and we already got a hint of most of the ones that are coming back. Like, we know that Willem Dafoe's coming back because you saw the Goblin Bomb dropping. We know that we're getting Dr. Octopus because you saw Alfred Molina. We know that we're getting Jamie Foxx because you can see some few shots with lightning. You can see before the Willem Dafoe Goblin Bomb shot, you do see Electro hitting sand, and something else sand is coming up, which I presume that's Sandman. And you see Peter in a room and something tries to claw at him. That's apparently Lizard. So I am curious to see how far they go with this, because I think I don't know how the multiverse is going to work. I don't know if they're coming to us or we're going to them. I think they would be coming to us, because the way that the director described it on Twitter, it's like Spider-Man Endgame, which is super exciting because Avengers Endgame is my favourite MCU film, my favourite superhero film, my favourite film of all time. So if this beats that, I won't be surprised. So this is really exciting for me. I just can't wait to see them back. And I'm curious to see what they do. I am super excited to continue on with this series and reviewing all this stuff. I can't wait to talk about Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and then laying up Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, that's all I'm doing, which I'm very excited about. I can't wait for this to be the conclusion of the Spider-Man saga. I can't wait for this. So, guys, please hit the like button down below if you haven't already. Hit subscribe. Also, hit the little bell icon to get notified of future videos I make. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.